James Webb Telescope. How it could uncover some of the universe's best kept secrets is insane. The Hubble Telescope finally has competition now because NASA achieved a landmark achievement when it launched the James Webb Telescope, the JWST, at the end of last year. Named after James E. Webb, who was the administrator of NASA from 1961 to 1968, this telescope is a monumental success because it is going to be the technological marvel that is going to take the place of the Hubble Telescope as part of NASA's mission of taking astrophysics forward. This telescope is designed to improve the infrared resolution of the pictures received from space, as well as 100 times fainter than the faintest object that is detected by the Hubble Telescope. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon to get notified of our newest videos. The James Webb Telescope is not cheap and has cost a record $10 billion, and it is NASA's largest science telescope. The telescope is not just a result of NASA's efforts, but also the European Space Agency, the ESA, and the Canadian Space Agency. NASA involved around 300 universities, organizations, and companies across 29 states in the United States and 14 countries in order to produce this technological masterpiece. It will probe the entire cosmos, helping to reveal what our glorious space holds. In fact, it will have such huge advantages over the Hubble telescope that the Hubble is going to look like a newbie when the JWST is finally functional. Speaking of the make of this telescope, its primary mirror features 21.3 feet, whereas the sun shield measures 69.5 feet by 46.5 feet. The overall mass of this telescope is 6,500 kgs. As for the moment of this telescope, it is going to orbit the sun in a different Lagrange point, which is going to help this telescope stay in the same line with the Earth. It's also predicted that this telescope is going to take a month to travel 1,000,000 miles to its permanent resting spot. This spot will be made stable by the earlier mentioned Lagrange point. Structure. This honeycomb-shaped structure is 3 stories high and is the size of a tennis court. This telescope structure is made up of 18 small hexagonal mirrors that are made up of beryllium coated with gold that have been optimized for reflecting infrared light from the ends of the universe. Apart from this, there's the primary mirror backplane, assembly, and the deployable tower structure that lifts the telescope off of the aircraft. The 3 arms present at the top come together with a ring where the secondary mirror is going to reside. Application. The first of many things this telescope will be deploying sun shields, which will protect its surface from the rays of the sun. Being such an expensive instrument, this telescope will obviously come with safety precautions. Other things that will be focused on once this telescope powers up is its orientation and alignment and its instruments that will come into play. However, in order for this telescope to be fully functional, we will have to wait for another 6 months. The clearer images with light will take some time to come to us. Although this telescope is stated to replace the Hubble telescope, but for the first few years, the 2 of these shall be working together. The James Webb Space Telescope will look at our universe in infrared. It will cause light from distant objects to shift to longer wavelengths at the red-colored end of the spectrum. This will bring in bigger and better detail to the image that will be seen, as it will manage to give details to us about the most primitive stars and galaxies that the universe has inside of it. Another key point to note is that the James Webb Telescope is going to orbit the Sun. It is oriented in this way that it will remain in its gravitational space instead of drifting to any of the sideways. Plus, since the telescope is going to orbit the Sun, this is why it has been inserted with the sun shield. Aims and goals. Aims. These are the areas in which the telescope shall be functioning. The telescope will be able to have an insight on the events that took place after the Big Bang. The universe came to life as protons, neutrons, and electrons came together. No light could be seen as the universe cooled down and these subatomic particles began to combine. How our universe was born and what it has become now after billions of years will be looked into by this telescope. The organization of matter to see how these galaxies came together in different states and in big small sizes will be looked into. This gives us hints as to how the universe has evolved after billions of years. Different shaped structures will be seen as they manage to evolve from different structures. Formation of galaxies and how they came together will also be looked into indefinitely. This telescope will also focus on how stars came into being. Being clouds of gas, stars expand when they are given heat, and when radiation is exerted on the stars, they managed to blow away all the gas on their outer layers. Having infrared technology in it, this technology in the telescope is going to help look at heat sources, especially those stars that tend to be born with these gases. Finally, the origin of planets, in which our Earth is also included, will be observed. And with the vast number of planets discovered in the last decade or so, it'll be a treat for this telescope. The powerful sensors of the James Webb Space Telescope will look into these planets with more depth and imagine their atmospheres during the time of their origin. Understanding the conditions of other planets will help scientists to decide whether a planet is habitable or not. Goals. The goals that the James Webb Space Telescope has to achieve are two, with one being of high priority. The goal having a higher priority is to find a planet that is similar in terms of conditions and habitants to the Earth, but it would require a very lucky coming together of all the conditions if that were to happen. This is because planets similar to the Earth are very rare in the neighborhood of the Earth, and as we know about our solar system's planets, they do not exist currently. These planets are quite faint compared to their parent star. It is expected that this telescope will most likely study the gas giants such as Jupiter or Saturn, or on the other hand, ice giants like Uranus and Neptune present in our own solar system. With a lot of planets closer in the orbit than ours, there will be more extreme conditions to expect, be it hot or cold. Apart from studying new kinds of planets outside the solar system, this telescope will also be able to observe the Earth as a greater sensitivity, will allow the identification and characterization of comets, along with other colder bodies in the outermost parts of the solar system. In such a location, the objects will mainly remain unchanged since their formation, and it may contain clues to the Earth and its origins, mainly the source of the Earth's water. Further plans and goals will also be added to this telescope as it moves forward. This telescope is going to partner up with the Hubble Telescope and serve space for a long time. We just hope that this telescope lives up to its entire potential, because great things are expected of it. There are going to be incredible discoveries that none of us can anticipate, because compare it to the Hubble Telescope and you'll see that when it was launched, the idea of exoplanets was alien to us. Yet after discovering them and studying about them, things got even more complex because there's so much that we don't know in our universe. The curiosity of the unknown is going to take man to places beyond measure, and those places will hopefully be located by the James Webb Telescope in the first instant. The next decade or so is going to be absolutely breathtaking for the James Webb Telescope. All the organizations, teams, and members involved in this project can hold their heads high as to what they've achieved after creating this telescope. It is going to help reveal the secrets of our universe and more. Be it stars, galaxies, celestial bodies, and planets, this telescope is going to be on the trail of all of them. Astronomers are going to have their time worthwhile working with this telescope because this telescope is built to explore. By the time it is done in exploring, and when a newer technology will be made to take its place, it will have told us so much more about our universe.